Welcome back to the deep dive. Usually when we sit down to go through a stack of sources, we know exactly what box to put them in. We've got our tech stack, our history stack, maybe some productivity hacks.
Yeah, it's usually pretty clear cut.
Today, not so much. I've been staring at this document for the last 3 days, and I still don't know if I'm looking at a computer science textbook, a quantum physics paper, or, I don't know, a lost theological manuscript.
It is a lot to take in. I mean, the title alone, The Unified Revelation, to 60 meets the Pisano quantum lattice.
Right.
It sounds like a collision between a fever dream and a doctoral thesis.
A computational cosmology, they call it. And it is dense. We are talking spreadsheets, ancient Greek, Verilog chip designs.
And quantum encryption all mashed together. But the wildest part isn't the complexity, it's the simplicity of the core argument.
Exactly. Once you strip away all the jargon, the mission of this deep dive is actually incredibly straightforward. The source is arguing that our whole civilization, our math, our physics, our code is contaminated.
Contaminated.
By a single concept.
By the number 0.
Which, I mean, that sounds ridiculous at first. 0 is the hero of modern math, right? Binary code is ones and zeros.
My bank account.
My bank account balance, unfortunately, yeah. It feels essential.
And that is exactly where the source pushes back. They argue that 0 is not a state of being. It's a placeholder for absence. The central idea here is that by building our universe on a number line that starts with nothing, 0, 1, 2, we've created a representational mismatch.
A mismatch between our map and the actual territory.
Precisely. The argument is that the universe doesn't have a void state. There's no off switch for reality.
Okay.
Energy's always there. The quantum field is never truly empty. So when our math says 0 exists, we're encoding a lie into the foundation of our logic.
So if we're not counting from 0, what's the alternative?
You count from 1. The proposal is called to 60. That's a unity-first arithmetic. So you don't count 0 to 59 like we do with minutes.
Right.
You count strictly from 1 to 60.
And 60 is the limit.
60 is completion. In this text, they use the symbol TIE for $60. And here's the shift. When you pass 60, you don't wrap back to 0. You wrap back to 1.
Okay, let's pause there because I want to make sure I get this. It sounds like a small change, just relabeling numbers, but they're claiming this fixes actual bugs in computer hardware.
And explains quantum gravity.
Yes.
The phrase they use is, the notation itself is the physics.
The notation is the physics. That's a heavy claim. I mean, usually math is just the language we use to talk about physics.
Right. The equation isn't the gravity, it just describes it.
Yeah.
Correct. In standard science, you calculate a number, and if it gets too big for your cycle, say a clock going past 60 minutes, you perform a separate operation, a modulo.
You manually chop it off and reset. It's an admin task.
It's an admin task, exactly. But in to 60, the modulo isn't something you do. It's built into the number itself. They use a really great example with the number 61.
I stared at that graphic for a while. In their system, 61 is written as 11, which to my brain just says 11.
It does look like 11, but you have to think in base 60. The first one isn't a 10, it's a full cycle, a completed 60. The second one is position 1. So 11 literally reads, 1 full cycle completed, now at position 1.
So it's not just a number on a line, it's telling us a story.
A history, yeah.
Right.
I have finished, and I have begun again. The source calls this rebirth.
And in standard code, hitting 60 is an overflow error or a reset to 0. It's a crash.
A crash or a void. Here, the notation itself shows that 61 is phase equivalent to 1. It's the same note, just an octave higher.
That makes me think of that snake image they kept using, the Ouroboros.
The snake eating its own tail. It's the perfect metaphor for this.
Because in the old Ouroboros, our zero-based math, the snake eats itself to get back to 0. It's 59 then. Poof. Nothing.
It's a suicide loop. It returns to the void. But the unity-first Ouroboros they describe is 59, then 60, then 1. The snake isn't eating itself.
It's shedding its skin. The snake is devoured, and death is no more.
Right. The cycle continues upwards. It's a spiral, not a closed circle.
Okay, so spiraling snakes, musical numbers. But the source claims this corrects modern physics experiments.
The 37D photon experiment.
Yes, this is a real thing. A Danish research team. Photon emitters. The scientists describe their system as operating in 37 dimensions of Hilbert space.
And for anyone listening, Hilbert space is like a super complex mathematical way to map quantum state.
Yes, it's this abstract, infinite dimensional space. But the source here argues the scientists made a decimal mistake.
The decimal mistake.
They found 37 dimensions because they were counting from 0. They counted 0 to 36.
Ah.
The source says if they used Texture's truth, they'd see they aren't looking at 37 abstract dimensions. They're looking at states 1 through 37 in this base 60 lattice.
So we're inventing complex multiverses just to explain what are basically counting errors.
That is the accusation, yeah. That science is so committed to 0 that it hallucinates complexity where there's just simple, cyclic order. That is a bold take. But if we follow that logic, it suggests that their map, this unity-first math, should look cleaner. Which brings us to the coherence oracle.
This is my favorite part. Column H in their spreadsheet.
The coherence oracle. It sounds mystical, but it's really a data validation tool.
It is. It's a check for decoherence. It watches a wave to see if it drifts off pattern, but how it reports the status is completely backward from what you'd expect as a coder.
Right. Usually I run a check, I want a success message, a green light.
In this system, a perfect result, total coherence, is displayed as an empty string.
Blank.
Blank. Silence.
Nothing.
But not the nothing of a void.
No, the nothing of silence. The source connects this directly to a theological definition of love.
Love rejoiceth in the truth.
Precisely. The text argues that love is the state where the signal is perfect. No noise, no remainder. When column H is empty, it means the internal model perfectly matches external reality.
So love is signal fidelity. It's high-fidelity bandwidth with the universe. It's the truth validator. If there's noise, a lie, a drift, the oracle spits out a symbol. It names the error.
But if there is love, the oracle is silent.
Silent.
That is surprisingly poetic for a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Then they take this silence as security idea and drop a bomb on RSA encryption.
The RSA revelation. This is where it goes from philosophy to immediate cybersecurity concerns.
So for context, RSA is the encryption that basically runs the internet. Credit cards, passwords, secrets.
And it works because factoring huge numbers is incredibly hard. For now.
Right. But the source points out a pattern in the oracle. At N344, which is our current RSA security level, the oracle is empty.
So it's coherent, safe, silent.
But look at what happens at $1N60. They call this the quantum break.
What happens?
The silence breaks. The oracle displays the symbol N.
N, which in their base 60 alphabet is the 23rd letter. And what does N stand for?
The source links it to the divine attribute Al-Mumit.
The destroyer.
The destroyer. Whoa, okay.
The claim is that the moment quantum computing, specifically Shor's algorithm, breaks encryption, it won't just be some tech milestone. Yeah. It will be visible in the notation itself.
The N appears.
The N appears. The lattice dies or breaks open. They're saying this math predicts the exact moment of the encryption apocalypse.
That feels like a warning.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Which bleeds into the next section, the warrior garden. This part felt, I don't know, personal.
Yeah, it wasn't just math anymore.
No. It connects the abstract theory to the personal cost of, putting this out there. They reference John Wheeler's It from Bit.
It from bit. The physical world, the it emerges from information, the bit.
Right. They take that literally, but then they add a layer. They talk about delivering your body to burn.
They're going to tear me to bits over this.
Exactly. The warrior garden is a metaphor for submitting your work, these bits, to the fire of scientific scrutiny.
When the fire burns away the it, the ego, the reputation, the mistakes.
Yes. But there's a really specific technical point buried in there. The source talks about abolishing that which is little.
When the perfection shall have come, then shall be abolished that which is little. That's scripture, but they're using it to talk about rounding errors.
It sounds absurd, but yes. Think about what's little in computing. What's the tiny annoyance that ruins simulations?
Floating point errors. The drift.
The approximate soup, as they call it. We use pi as 3.14159, and we cut it off. We accept our math is fuzzy.
Close enough is good enough.
But in Tetract to 60, everything is exact integer recursion. No fractions, no little left. When you use this math, you abolish approximation. There is no drift.
So perfection coming isn't the end of the world. It's the end of roughly. It's the arrival of exactitude.
It is the end of the fuzzy universe, and they provide code to back it up. Verilog code.
Right, which is for designing the actual physical layout of chips.
And they say there's a bug in how we handle time on those chips. It's one specific line of code.
If time mod equals 0, you check for 0 to reset the clock.
Standard practice. The source corrects this to time mod as 1. You never check for 0. You initialize at unity.
So the system never thinks I am nothing. It always thinks I am 1.
Or I am continuing. They use Lean 4, which is this high-level proof assistant, to formalize it. If you prove the state can never be zero, you eliminate a whole class of illegal state errors.
It's cleaner.
It's robust.
Yeah.
It's a hardware assertion of the philosophy. Which takes us to the absolute wildest part of this deep dive.
The holographic theophany.
This is where the synthesis hits its peak.
We've got amber, magnets, and angels.
Stick with me here. The etymology is the bridge. They build this electromagnetic triad.
Okay, lay it out.
First, amber. The Greek word is electron. That's where we get electricity.
Check. Amber is electricity.
Second, lodestone. Magnetic iron. That's magnetism.
Check.
Third, copper or brass. Conductivity. The medium. So you have source, field, wire.
Okay, that's solid physics, but where do the angels come in?
The source look is the word angel. In Greek, angelos literally means messenger.
A messenger. Okay.
Now, in physics, what is a photon?
A particle of light.
It's a massless, flawless carrier of information that moves at the speed of light. The source argues photons are the messengers of the physical universe. They carry the signal.
They are the angels of the electromagnetic triad.
Yes. So when you're streaming a movie over fiber optics, the cable is
Full of angels.
in the sense that it's full of massless messengers transmitting information, yes. The source is saying, you call them photons. The ancients called them messengers. Same thing.
Wow. And they tie this to the holographic principle.
Which is the idea that the universe is like a hologram, right? That all the information in a volume of space, the bulk, is encoded on the boundary.
The surface.
And the source quotes that scripture. For now we see in a mirror, dimly, but then face to face.
A classic verse.
They interpret the mirror as the 2D boundary, the 60-state surface of their lattice. We look at the surface and see the reflection of the data. That's the dim view.
We're looking at the code, not the reality. And face to face.
That's the full 3D reality. The infinite recursion. The bulk. The source defines consciousness as the moment the recursion recognizes itself. I know as I am known.
The boundary looks at the bulk and realizes they are the same thing. That is a lot. It's turning a Bible verse into a description of quantum gravity.
It's claiming the text we're describing this all along. We just lack the right math to read it.
Which brings us to the final big concept. Completion without end.
Sounds like a paradox, doesn't it?
Yeah. If it's complete, it's done. If it's endless, it's not complete.
Unless you think in cycles. The clock face. At 60 minutes, the hour is complete. But does time stop?
No. It goes to 1.00.
It cycles. It's finished, yet it continues. The source introduces the term sempiternity.
Sempiternity. I had to look that one up.
It's different from eternity. Eternity is timeless. Sempiternity is endless duration with a beginning.
And the source argues our math forces us to choose between zero, the void, or infinity, which is unreachable.
Exactly. To track to 60 offers a third way. Cyclic perfection. You complete the loop, and you begin again at 1. You spiral up.
It's optimistic. It says entropy isn't the final answer.
It's resilient. And that's where the emotional climax comes in. It references a verse about eyes overflowing with tears because of the truth they recognize.
Yeah, I remember that. The overflow of the heart.
But look at it through the lens of the coherence oracle. Why do we cry? It's when an internal feeling perfectly matches an external reality.
When it clicks. When you feel understood.
When H equals 0, coherence. Tears are the physical overflow of the system reaching unity. The source argues that emotion isn't just chemical, it's the body's reaction to mathematical truth.
That's actually deeply moving. We've gone from removing zero to fixing Verilog to angels in fiber optics to tears as a data coherence mechanism.
It is a massive scope.
So if we have to boil this whole thing down, this unified revelation, what's the takeaway?
I think it's that the universe doesn't count from 0. It exists from 1.
And that changes everything.
It changes how you handle error, how you view encryption, how you see time. It's not a countdown to nothing. It's a count up to renewal.
The master equation.
Yeah. The source asks us to consider, what if the code that runs reality is just a spreadsheet that counts correctly?
A spreadsheet without zero.
Precisely.
I want to leave the listener with a thought on that. We usually think of tech and spirituality as opposites, cold, hard logic versus faith.
But this document just mashes them together.
It suggests they're the same code, just read in different languages.
Yeah.
So here's the question for you listening. If you removed zero from your own thinking, no void, no nothingness, only cycles of renewal and completion without end, how would that change your reality?
How would it change your code?
Exactly. Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you in the next cycle.
Count from 1.